After 7 years apart, 19-year-old cat reunites with owner. His heartwarming reaction will melt your heart. The room is quiet, the kind of silence that feels heavy. Dust dances in a beam of sunlight streaming through the window. On a small wooden shelf, a worn-out blue collar rests, untouched for years. Below it, a faded food bowl sits, still holding the last few kibbles she never had the heart to throw away. A woman sits on the edge of her bed, staring at that collar with distant eyes. "It's been 7 years," she whispers, "but sometimes I still hear him meow." She closes her eyes for a moment, and in the silence, it almost sounds real. The soft, familiar trill of a cat calling out in the night. She turns toward the window. A tiny paw print, long faded, still clings to the glass. A memory frozen in time. The kind of silence left behind when a soul never says goodbye. Her name is Alina. She's 30 now, but her heart feels paused. Like time moved forward without asking her permission. People often tell her she's strong for moving on. But what they don't know is, she never truly did. The house still smells faintly of his fur. His favorite blanket is folded neatly on the corner of the couch, untouched. His toys remain in a small basket by the door just in case. "They said to get a new cat," she says quietly. "But what if he came back? And I wasn't here?" Each birthday, each holiday, each morning with no paw steps following her. She has lived them all, but not a single one felt whole. Alina isn't just holding on to hope. She's holding on to Leo. The memory is always clear. Alina was just 13. Awkward, quiet, and often lost in her own world. The rain was pouring that afternoon, the kind of downpour that makes the world feel smaller, quieter. She was looking out her window when she heard it. A faint, desperate cry. At first she thought it was the wind, but then again louder, closer. She ran outside, slippers sinking into the muddy grass, heart pounding. There, pressed against the broken wooden slats of the backyard fence, was a tiny, soaked kitten, shivering, fragile, alone. He looked up at her with wide, golden eyes that didn't plead for rescue. They expected it, as if somehow he had been waiting for her. With trembling hands, Alina scooped him up. He didn't fight. He didn't run. He pressed his wet little head into her palm. "That was the first time," she would later say, "that anyone had chosen me, and just like that, 2 lost souls had found each other." She named him Leo not because he was fierce, but because he made her feel protected. From that day on, he became her shadow. He followed her to the bathroom, waited outside the shower, and slept on her chest every night. His purring a lullaby that stitched the holes in her teenage heart. When she cried after her first heartbreak, he curled into her arms like he was trying to hold her together. When she got sick, he didn't leave her side. Not for a second. When no one at school noticed she was hurting, Leo always did. He'd meow sharply if she stayed up too late, nudging her toward bed. He'd sit beside her when she studied, paw at her notebook like he was helping. "Leo wasn't just my cat," Alina often whispered. "He was my reason. He was the warmth in the silence, the comfort in the chaos, the proof that love, pure, healing love, could come in the form of fur and a heartbeat." It was just another quiet afternoon. The rain had stopped, but the wind lingered, sharp and restless. Alina had stepped outside for only a moment to bring in the laundry. A breeze, just strong enough, found its way through the hallway. Click. The door creaked open behind her. Slowly, silently. By the time she returned, the house felt wrong. Too still. Too empty. No paw steps padding down the hall. No warm nudge against her leg. No Leo. "Leo?" she called out once, twice, louder. Silence answered. Panic set in like a storm. She tore through the rooms, looked under the bed, behind curtains, in closets. Nothing. Then she saw it. The door opened just a crack, swaying. Her heart dropped. She ran outside barefoot, shouting his name into the wind, the grass wet under her feet. Her voice cracked, but she kept screaming. Into alleyways, through backyards, past fences. It was getting dark. and Leo was gone. The next days blurred into one. Posters on every pole. Social media posts shared hundreds of times. Trips to every shelter, some twice a day. She walked for miles. Called his name until her throat gave out. Left out food, toys, even her shirt. Anything with her scent. He'll come back, she told herself over and over. But nights turned to weeks. Weeks into months. People began to say, maybe he found a new home. Others, less kindly, he's just a cat, Alina. Let it go. But she didn't. She couldn't. He's not just a cat, she said, tears clinging to her voice. He's my heart. A year passed, but the porch light always stayed on. Just in case. Because Alina hadn't lost hope. She had only misplaced it, right where Leo had once stood. Time, as they say, moves forward, but grief stands still. Alina graduated. She got her first job, then her second. Her mother moved away. Her father passed. And the chair he used to sit in stayed empty. Just like Leo's spot on the windowsill. In every celebration, there was a shadow. A soft ache in every happy moment. She would sometimes laugh with friends, then go home and cry in the dark. Every time I smiled, she admitted, I wished he was there to see it. She dated, even fell in love once. But nothing ever filled the space Leo had carved in her heart. His bowl stayed on the shelf. His toy mouse, sun-faded, still lay near the couch. And though years passed, she never closed that one window he always loved to sit by, hoping he might return, just as suddenly as he left. Across town, in a different world, Leo was surviving. A kind old man had found him wandering along a highway years ago. He was thin, limping, covered in scratches. The man took him to a shelter, but no one claimed him. Leo was renamed, rehomed, then moved again, each place a little colder, a little louder. He flinched at brooms, shivered when it stormed. Shelter staff saw him as difficult. But what they didn't know was this. Leo wasn't mean. He was mourning. He had lost more than a home. He had lost his person. And sometimes, in dreams, he still saw her face. He would press himself against the bars of his kennel when he heard footsteps. Waiting, always waiting. A scent, a voice, a whisper that might be hers. But it never was. Years passed. He grew older, grayer. One eye clouded over from infection. But in his tired heart, the memory of a girl with trembling hands and warm eyes never faded. He didn't just want to survive. He wanted to go home. The shelter was quieter than usual. A slow Tuesday afternoon. Staff moved through the aisles, cleaning and feeding the animals. There was nothing remarkable about the old cat they were scanning, frail, gray, and far too weak for his age. His paws trembled as they gently swiped the scanner across his neck. It beeped. The microchip, the one that had been dormant for years, was still there. The technician read the information aloud, almost casually. Owner, Alina Moritz. The name hung in the air. The shelter worker froze. Then, another worker leaned in. This cat is 19 years old. A shiver ran down their spines. This was no ordinary cat. This was a legend of sorts, an unsolved mystery. How had such an old cat ended up here? They exchanged glances, the weight of the moment settling between them. Something bigger than they could understand was at play. Alina's phone rang at the most unexpected time. An unknown number. She hesitated. Who could it be? But something deep in her gut told her she needed to answer. She lifted the phone to her ear. Hello, a calm voice on the other end. We believe we've found your cat. Her breath hitched. Her heart stopped. The air in her lungs froze. She stood still, her eyes blurry with tears before she even realized what was happening. Her fingers trembled around the phone. What did you say his name was? The words barely escaped her lips. Leo. The world seemed to collapse around her, leaving only that single name. The name she hadn't said in years. The name she hadn't even dared to believe she would hear again. Leo. Alina entered the shelter with every emotion racing through her. Her heart pounded in her chest like a drum, each beat louder than the last. The familiar smell of disinfectant and old cages filled the air, but she barely noticed. Her eyes searched the room, darting from kennel to kennel, desperately seeking him. And then, she saw him, a frail, old cat in the corner, his fur sparse, his body thin. He looked up at her, his eyes dim, as though the years had stolen his light. For a moment, neither of them moved. Time stood still. Then something changed. His dim eyes flickered. The light behind them sparkled. And in that moment he recognized her. A slow, halting limp carried him forward, each step trembling with effort, yet determined. Alina's breath caught in her throat. She couldn't move. "Leo," she whispered, her voice barely a sound. With each step, the years fell away. A fragile paw reached out, then another, until finally, he was close enough for her to touch him. Her heart shattered. Her breath stilled as she knelt before him. Then it happened. Leo, frail but still full of life, opened his mouth and let out a soft, familiar sound. The sound she hadn't heard in so long. The sound that once filled their home with comfort and warmth. It was a meow, quiet and small, but powerful in its recognition. The room seemed to freeze, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Alina's eyes filled with tears. She couldn't hold them back anymore. She collapsed to her knees, her hands shaking as she reached out. Leo, as if he never left, climbed up into her lap. His old body was frail, but his spirit was the same. And in that moment, Alina knew he remembered her. She wrapped her arms around him, cradling him close, the tears streaming down her face. "You came back to me," she whispered. "I never gave up on you." And for the first time in 7 years, both of them knew they were finally home. The house had felt empty for so long, the walls echoing the silence of absence. But now, with Leo back, there was life again. A life that had been waiting to return. As they stepped through the door together, Alina felt a wave of warmth wash over her. She hadn't even realized how cold and distant the house had become without him. But now, the air felt different, filled with the same comfort and peace that had always been there when Leo was by her side. Leo limped slowly inside, his movements unsteady but purposeful. He immediately made his way to the window spot, the same one where he used to sit for hours watching the world outside, his little kingdom. The sunlight streamed through the window, just as it always had, warming the place where he now curled up once more. Alina knelt beside him, her heart swelling with a joy she hadn't felt in years. She couldn't help but reach out, stroking his soft fur with the gentleness that only time and love could bring. The fur that had once been thick and full was now thinner, worn by the years and the struggles he had faced. But to her, he was still the same. Her Leo. She walked to the kitchen with tears blurring her vision, feeling the weight of each step. Her hands trembled as she prepared his food, just as she had done when he was young and full of life. She took extra care with the little details, the special dish she always made for him, the bowl she used. It was as though everything from those days was still alive in her heart. When she returned to him, she gently brushed his fur, feeling the slight tremor in his body as she did. Her hands lingered on his old, familiar body, tracing every curve, every scar. She kissed his nose softly, just as she had all those years ago when he was her little kitten. It was a kiss that held all the lost years, all the unspoken words. "You made it back, my boy," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I knew you would." And for the first time in 7 long years, Alina felt the heaviness in her heart lift. This was home. Leo was home, and they were finally together again. But as much as Alina wanted to hold on to this moment, she knew the truth. Leo was no longer the sprightly kitten she had once held in her arms. He was old now, frail, with the wear of time marked on his body. She could see it in the way he moved, in the way his steps faltered. His once vibrant eyes now had the faintest cloudiness in them. But his spirit, the bond they shared, was as strong as ever. Every day they had together now felt like a gift she couldn't take for granted. She had learned that life could change in an instant, that the things we cherish most can slip away without warning. And so, every moment with Leo was precious, even more so now than before. Alina's eyes traced his every movement, memorizing the little details. The way he shifted in his sleep. The way he would nuzzle her hand when she reached out to pet him. His soft purring, a sound she had longed for. Even the way his fur felt beneath her fingers. The softness of it still carried the memories of every night they'd spent together. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they settled down together. The room was filled with the soft sounds of the world winding down. Alina climbed into bed, pulling the covers up around them. Leo settled beside her, curling up just as he used to, resting his head on her chest. His frail, old body nestled against hers, just like when he was a kitten, her constant companion. She wrapped her arms around him, careful not to hurt him, holding him close. The weight of his presence next to her brought her a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. This was everything she had wanted. To have him back, even if only for a short while. Alina closed her eyes, breathing in the familiar scent of his fur, and whispered softly, "If this is our last chapter, I'll read it slowly." Her voice trembled with the understanding that their time together was limited. But she wouldn't rush it. She wouldn't take a single moment for granted. Every purr, every meow, every shared glance would be treasured. And as they both drifted off to sleep, Alina held on to him, feeling the soft rise and fall of his breath against her chest. They had found each other again, and that was all that mattered. No matter how much time they had left, they would live in this moment, in this deep, endless love that had never faded, even through the years apart. "I'll love you forever, Leo," Alina thought as she closed her eyes. Forever. The morning light filtered gently through the curtains, casting a soft, golden glow across the room. Alina lay beside Leo, her heart heavy with the weight of a truth she had been dreading. The soft rise and fall of his chest, the rhythmic purring she had come to rely on, had slowed down over the last few days. But this morning, there was a stillness she hadn't felt before. She gently reached out, her hands trembling as she touched his frail body. Leo, the cat who had come back to her after so many years, had left this world quietly, as he had lived with grace, with peace, and with the love they had always shared. Alina's breath caught in her throat as tears filled her eyes, a mixture of sorrow and gratitude. "You came home to say goodbye," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. She held him close, feeling the coolness of his body, yet still finding comfort in his presence. In a way, she knew he had given her the greatest gift, the chance to say goodbye, the chance to love him one final time. Her sobs were soft but endless, yet there was a smile on her face, a smile that was born from the depth of the love they had shared, the memories they had created. Leo had made it home, and in that moment that was all that mattered. The days that followed were filled with quiet grief, but also a sense of peace. Alina knew Leo had lived a full life, and she was forever grateful for every moment they had spent together. To honor him, Alina planted a rose bush in the garden, just beneath the window where he had always loved to sit. She carefully dug the small hole, her hands working methodically as her mind wandered back to those years of companionship. The days when she would catch him gazing out at the world, his eyes reflecting the same wonder and curiosity she felt. The rose bush would bloom in spring, just like the love they had shared. Each petal would remind her of the warmth he brought into her life, of the laughter and joy, of the comforting purrs and the soothing presence he had been for her all these years. Alina stood back, wiping the last of her tears. As she placed a small plaque next to the bush, her heart swelled with a bittersweet love. The inscription was simple, yet powerful. "Leo, my first love, my last goodbye, my forever." It was a love that had transcended time and space, that had endured despite the years apart, and that had left a lasting mark on her heart. Leo's love had never faded, and in the quiet moments of her life, she would always feel his presence. In every bloom of the rose, she would find him again, and in every tear shed, she would feel his love. Goodbyes were never easy, but some loves were meant to last beyond the final moments. And Alina knew, without a doubt, that her love for Leo would outlive time itself. The screen softens, and Alina appears, sitting quietly in her home, a faint smile on her face as she gazes directly at the camera. The years of heartache, the years of waiting, have left their mark. But there's a peace about her now. A peace born from knowing that love can return, even when it feels lost forever. She takes a deep breath, her voice calm but full of emotion as she speaks, her words carrying the weight of everything she's been through. If you've ever lost someone, a cat, a dog, or a soul you loved deeply, don't stop believing. Love returns, sometimes even after years. Her words are quiet, but they hold a depth that resonates with anyone who has ever felt the ache of loss. A gentle smile tugs at her lips as she continues. We wait for them, sometimes in silence. But if you wait long enough, love finds its way back. It always does. As she speaks, a montage begins to play. A series of heartwarming moments showing animals reuniting with their owners after long periods of separation. There are joyful barks, tears of relief, and faces glowing with pure happiness. Each reunion is different, but the emotion is universal. The incredible bond between humans and animals, the unwavering love that transcends time, distance, and heartache. The music swells, building in the background, a soft and hopeful melody that mirrors Alina's words. In the distance, a faint, familiar meow echoes, carrying a sense of warmth and comfort as it lingers in the air. Alina's face softens as she watches the images of the reunions, her heart swelling with love and gratitude for the time she had with Leo. The camera slowly zooms in, capturing the hope in her eyes as she speaks her final words. If you're waiting for your own reunion, don't lose hope. It may take time, but they will come back. And when they do, it will be worth every second of waiting. As the music reaches its crescendo, the screen fades to black, leaving behind a message that speaks to every heart touched by the story. For those still waiting, love always finds its way back home. Speech balloon, did you cry? Tell us why. Share your story below. Let's create a wall of love for all the pets we've lost and found again. The words hang in the air, inviting viewers to open up, share their emotions, and connect with others who understand the depth of their experiences. It's more than just a comment section. It's a community, a place where people can share their grief, their joy, and the miraculous moments of reunion that only those who have been through it can truly understand. Red Heart, tag someone who needs to believe in miracles. This simple, heartfelt call to action encourages viewers to reach out to those who may need a little hope, someone who has lost their pet or might be going through a tough time. It's an invitation to spread love, belief, and encouragement, building a network of support that transcends the screen. As the screen fades to black once again, the comment box fills with the warmth of shared stories, creating a ripple of love that extends far beyond the video itself.